Hi YouTube, welcome back. In this video I take more stuff out the car that I probably didn't really need to, but I decided I would for extra protection for when I come to do the welding on the inside of this windscreen. So as you can see, there's a big gaping hole where the air conditioning unit used to be. That's now over here. I am going to investigate the actual unit itself in another video, but this is let's say a fairly short video. I think it's about half an hour just of my explorations taking this out. As usual, it's not an instructional video. It's a very rambly, backward, forward, trial and error affair to get it out. But I'm sure some of the disconnecting and reconnecting and faffing about will be useful to someone. So enjoy! I better start documenting just in case I'm actually successful in removing this twat from the car. So I noticed, well, first off I read the Big Green Book of Bollocks and it was about as helpful as ever. So I just gave up on that and came and had a look. I did notice though, in the pictures in the book, it sort of sat in a metal frame. And these bits are protruding out of there, and so obviously that was stopping, well, I'm sure there's a lot of other stuff stopping the unit from coming forwards, but those certainly needed out of the way. They're just a rotating click-in sort of thing, so I need to gently pull this air inlet, because these blue tubes come from the blowers, which you can't see. Well, actually, is that the bottom of it? That round thing? I don't know. It's up in there somewhere. I'll show you around on the other side of the car in a sec and explain it better. But the blowers do their thing and the cold air comes into the motor or the air conditioning unit here on both sides. Similar sort of thing. So there's blue tubes on the other side as well. So yeah, you need to just pop them off, I think. And that's those done. So I'm going to go do the same on the other side. So it's actually a bit clearer on the passenger side. So these, well, this is your passenger side air coming in from, oh, there you, yeah. I think that thing I was pointing at before is the blower. Basically, it's the other side of what's under here, because there's a vacuum operated flap. So when you ask for air to come from outside, that opens and blows a thing that goes round and round and blows outside air into there, and I believe underneath as well somewhere, I don't know where, it has a flap there as well, which is when you ask for recirculation. Let's just zoom out a bit with the camera. Yes, ask for recirculation, the vacuum thing will do a thing and it'll close the flap to stop air coming from the outside and draw it from by your smelly cheesy feet instead. It's a great idea. So this, yeah, it's not a lot of working room. I should probably remove stuff, but I'm just investigating at the minute, so I don't really want to remove stuff. But if I pull that back and then give that a quarter turn, there's just enough room, gently now, don't want to damage anything, to pull that one out. I don't know if I can get on the other one. Oh, it's below. So it's coming down here. So it's behind this fucking fuse bracket. Whew. Right. Well, that's stopped the unit from not being able to come forward because of that. I'm sure there's many other reasons. For one, I'm going to have to actually address these. I took these off thinking they were part of the dash, if you watch my dash removal video, and they're not. but they are just a nut down there, so they can, yeah, I was going to just pull it there, but that will damage the sound insulation. So I'll undo those. As always with this car, it's way more complicated than it needs to be. Why can't it just be a bolt? Anyway, it's a bolt. Then this thing, which sits in there, because apparently one lovely machined cup washer wasn't enough, so thin one goes in the thick one. I guess they're really specific spaces. That's free enough. There's all sorts of things cable tied to it, but I don't actually think I need to worry about that. That can just sit like that. Let's go do that on the other side. I've done that side. There's nothing cable tied to it on that side. This one has the same arrangement, but for some reason the larger spacer washer is embedded in the sound deadening, so I'm just going to leave that there. So previously I was hoping I could disconnect this top vent from this unit, which I know you can, I just don't know how, and I'm assuming you do it once the whole lot's out. I'm going to disconnect those. They're self-explanatory, but just for my own notes, green one goes to the top one, the black one goes lower. That's fine. I'm going to undo that nut there and its counterpart there. I think they're 13, and I'm also going to cut these cable ties so that this loom is out of the way. That actually gave me some movement last time. I think I've done as much as I can do. So the unit inside the cabin is what I'm trying to say, is as far back as it can go without having to do a lot more work. So this is how this is sat now. If I was to pull it further back, I would have to make sure that I feed that lot through that slot. The two fixings that you don't see here anymore, there and there's one over there, they are some studs that come out the back of the aircon unit. The inlet and outlet pipes for the thing that makes the hot water go over the fans, there's a word for it, they're disappearing into the bulkhead as well, as you can see. So if we go in the car, I just actually pulled my hip out of place. I'm only 43, I'm just falling apart. I'm also barefoot as well in the garage, and I keep stabbing my feet on. There's an array of very sharp wire shreds there from, those wire wheel things. And yeah, I really just should put shoes on, but this is what happens. I kind of wander in the garage to have a quick look and then end up in here. Anyway, what was I going to say? Yes, this is now, for all intents and purposes, I think, actually off. This would have to be removed to get the unit actually to come out. I'm assuming that's just a case of disconnecting many connectors over there, and I can't be arsed. I've cleared now more than enough room. I wouldn't get any more access to the inside of the windscreen aperture by removing this, is what I'm saying. So I am going to call that a win. I just noticed while I was faffing about out there that I could actually see the 4 screws along the back that hold this piece that I wanted to remove originally off. Now I've been able to pull the whole unit forward. So I've unscrewed those, and I'm just going to unscrew that last one, and I think this might actually lift off. Awesome. That is brilliant news. So I've actually got to where I wanted to get to. I can even push this, because I don't really like the fact that it's kind of just hovering about at the minute. I don't think it'll do it any harm, but I'm just going to push that back into its normal position. And then when I need to put that vent bit back on, I can pull it out again. That's just doing a bit of investigating. There's more duct tape. These pipes that come in off the blowers, they're just duct taped on. Now I can see, I was reading the big green book of bollocks to see how to remove this, and it was talking about removing the whole steering column, and I was like, what the? And I understand that now. To get to the blowers, to fit these pipes properly with tape, you'd have to take at least this off. Oh god, it's just such a mess down there. But also I found this. Surely that can't be That can't be factory. Do you know what? I just realised. So that there, that white connector, is the other side of this. And I wonder, maybe I filled that hole while I was messing about last time with that, and it dropped down in there. Anyway, also there's more of this. I didn't actually show you last time because I'd already cleaned it away, but this is what I'm up against. This is what's left of the foam that insulates all of the, you just touch it and it just disintegrates. What's it remind me of? Candy floss. You know when you get a bit of candy floss, it's all fluffy and light, but as soon as you squeeze it, it just crumbles away into nothing. That's what this is like. It's so horrible stuff. So that's what was all over that. Where is it now? Oh, it's on the vent thing that's down there. That's what was on the door, the flap, the big center flap thing. It was all just literally touched it and it just crumbled away. So I will have to re-foam that when I sit that back on. Fortunately, whatever this is, that seems to be covered with material. Is there more foam in there? I'm just going to touch it. Yes, there is. So I'm going to leave that well alone, because if I start unsettling that, that's a whole nightmare. I need to get the hoover down here, check I've got no crap in there, but that's air coming out anyway, so it's not the end of the world. I'll just turn the fans on full and I'll get a face full of debris. Got a chopper coming. I've got a little bit of welding to do before I do the terrifying stick the metal to the car part of things. There's a little square hole here, which is intact on the driver's side piece that I've got. That holds a little lock nut thing, nylon plastic insert, and then there's a little self-tapping screw that just goes in and holds down the chrome trim that sits along the bottom edge there. However, if I just go over there, yeah, on this side, unfortunately, the hole is way too big. And my aim for today is to fill that with metal, and then, I don't know how I'm going to do it, and then cut out the little square to the same spec as that. That's actually, I'm making it, when I sort of said it to myself, I was like, oh, that'll be simple, but because it's not a round hole, I can't just drill it out, can I? So that's a bit more tricky. So I need to have a think about how I'm going to do that. I've got this non-facelift or pre-facelift Scuttle panel that someone gave me ages ago, and then I realised was incorrect. It's actually got an intact hole. Obviously it's the wrong way round and it's different because it's in a different location and it's got a deeper recess. But I'm just wondering if I can somehow cut out what I need from that bit and transplant it onto that bit. This is probably like super expert welding skills needed. I don't have those, so I might be being massively optimistic here that that's even possible. But there's only one way to find out. Anyway, I can do it doesn't matter if I destroy this one, so I can do the cutting out and then start thinking about if there's any way of, face-off kind of territory. I had to put the phone on charge, but while it was charging, I cut that bit out of there and I flattened it because this bit was already kind of recessed. I flattened it and then I've just glued it with a bit of super glue just for now, just to see how it's going to sit. And I think that's going to work. All I need to do on the other side is I just need tack welding in, really. That kind of thing. And then I can get creative either with body filler, or if I get really confident, maybe I could put a bit of welding metal in around that edge and then shape it down. That sounds like a dangerous game to start playing, especially for something you can't see. So we'll see how enthusiastic I get. And let's get that tack welded in. So I did get brave and go put some metal on the top. It's actually turned out a lot better than I expected. It's not perfect, obviously, but that's certainly acceptable now for that to be filled with filler and smoothed off at the bodywork kind of stage. There's the underside, by the way. I just stuck 4 tack welds around it. I think that will suffice as well. I've just put some primer on that to stop it rusting while it's sat awaiting fitment. It's far from perfect. In hindsight, what I should have done actually is cut out the correct size. If you look at the other one, because I wanted that kind of square indent, that's just slightly recessed. I don't really know why, because the trim just sits flat here and then the screw just goes into there. So I don't know why they pressed out a recess, but they did. But yeah, what I should have really done is cut out that shape out of that one and then stuck the thing underneath, and it would have been a lot easier just to make the shape the same. But it's near enough. It has a bit of a recess. It's not going to be the perfect finish, but it's going to do the job, I think. You can't see that anyway. So long as my bodywork looks good from about that point forwards, it doesn't really matter how this looks because it's all hidden by the chrome trim. So I'm going to let that primer dry. I did actually find, I thought I had a pair of these in storage. These are the tiny little nylock nut things. I can't remember what they're called. Inserts, and they just push in. Don't think it matters which way. There we go. I can get it back out, by the way, which I will need to do before painting and all that kind of stuff. But that just sits in there like that. So that one will go in there. And I think that's that done. It's certainly a vast improvement on the random shaped hole that was there. Curiosity's got the better of me again. I just can't kind of give up not getting this out. Now I've taken that top vent off, I realised that loom isn't in my way anymore. This seems to be some sort of vacuum balancer line that goes from the blower there. See that brass thing? There's a little nipple on top of it there, on the top. It's just gone out of focus, of course. Oh, come on, phone. There we go. So I've just popped that off there, and now I can jump back in the car. I can feed that through here. Comes under where all the radio stuff is. And don't get caught because I don't want to pull that end off it. And then it comes out this side somewhere. Well, somewhere up under there is a thing. Whatever. Oh, I can't focus. Whatever that is. And it's got more stuff going off the back of it, which I do not want to pull off. But you can see this line here is hooked under this connector here. So I'm just going to disconnect that. I have just undone the driver's side drain there. There'll be one on the other side. I'll go and do that in a sec. Before I do that, I was just trying to free up this wire, which seems to go across the top of the steering column and into a connector there. So that looks fairly simple. But it's stuck now. Come on now. There we go. I think that's everything on that side. Probably not. Probably still some wiring maybe down there. What's that connected to? Nothing. Okay, that's concerning. I'll go around the other side and do the vent. Okay, I've undone the passenger side drain. I've also noticed there's a wire coming off. I've already undone that one, but there's this one, same as on the other side, going to a connector. So I'm just going to disconnect that, and that's hopefully now free. So I'm going to give things a wiggle again and see if we're getting anywhere. Okay, we're pretty much there, but this blue line is connected to the actual aircon unit down there. I don't know whether it's best to pop these out of here. Not focusing at all. I don't know whether it's best to pop these out of here or try and disconnect it from the unit. Really can't see much down there. Let's investigate that. It looks like all of this vacuumy, tubing-y stuff goes to one sort of soft connector, which just pulls off like that. So that just goes back on those four, and then this faded pink, is it, goes on there. So faded pink on there, that goes that way up with the red at the top. Okay, let's see if that's everything. Not quite. On the driver's side, I've got this white connector here just stopping me at the moment. Don't know if I can do this one-handed. Can't even work out what kind of connector it is. It's a push and pull there. So that's green, green, white to green. This bloody phone, green, green, white. Okay, let's try again. Well, it's out. So you can take it out. I'm not going to say it's easy. You don't need to take the steering column out. I think that was just to address blowers and things like that. I think I was getting distracted by that. So you do need to remove these those brown round cup things that slot in there. Wiring wise, on the driver's side, that goes up to a connector. What have I done with it now? There. So that's simple enough. That's just one connector. On the other side, there's the same thing. I'm not going to go in the car, but there's one in the same place on the passenger side. That will be going up to some sort of sensor that I haven't got fitted at the moment, that sits in a hole there, and I'm 99% sure anyway that connector will connect onto whatever's coming through that hole. So we're not going to worry about that. It's probably an outdoor temperature sensor or something. It's got paint on it, so it's definitely been outside of the bulkhead at some point. This wire coming off the bottom, that wasn't connected to anything. I'm not sure if it ever has been. There are a few connectors within this area of my car that aren't connected to things, like I always noticed down here. There's that. Don't know what that's for, but that's never been connected. There's other ones as well. This one, however, where does that actually come off? That, I think, in fact I know, is to do with the front fascia or the slider thing that does the hot cold. I can't remember which is which, but one of those is the fascia and the slider thing. I think that's the slider thing. I just wanted to confirm that that little 3-pin connector that's actually coming off the air conditioning unit is for the slidery thing, you know, that thing there. And the fascia thing, I think, is this one here. So while I was editing the bit that I think you've just seen, I was just questioning myself which connector goes where. I've decided to come in the car and just double check. So this double white connector with the 2 prongs does go on the what do you call that, the air conditioning control fascia. Well, while I'm here, you will have seen me disconnecting in amongst my explorations. I said green, green, white. It's actually green, green, brown, white and black 6-pin connector, and that goes on here. Again, corresponds with the green, green and white, white and black. So that's that. I can't remember, you may have seen me disconnecting that in amongst my explorations. Don't need to, that just stays like that. Same on the other side. I think I disconnected that to untangle some stuff, so that's fine. That stays with it, all that stays with it. I think I disconnected that one as well at some point, just to untangle some stuff. That doesn't need disconnecting either. So I think that's everything on the unit. I've got some cleaning to do. So there's the thing that makes the heat go to your car. I can't remember the name of it, as per usual, but it's disgusting up there. If you wanted to service it as well, I'm assuming, I don't know how you do that, but we might look into that. It might be interesting to see how you get that out, just for future reference if I ever come to do one. Anyway, I'll investigate that probably in another video. What I am going to do though now is some basic cataloguing. I know this YouTube channel, it certainly isn't entertaining, and it's not very often very informative. It's usually just me exploring, but this seems a good opportunity to just look through everything that's exposed and try and identify everything as much as possible. So for example, this coming off, so you've got this big loom that comes round to the passenger side and goes into a lot of crap over there, but this, whoops, this lot that comes off it is your radio. Now obviously different people's radios over the years get butchered. Mine's got all sorts of extensions on, but just so you can see where it comes off the loom, that's all your radio stuff. I'm just going to poke that out there for now, out of the way. Coming down, so this is this big main loom, coming down here and off a little spur here onto a connector, and then this is all your gearbox transmission things. So that goes down there through a hole and into the transmission tunnel. So if you're wondering where all that ends up, because there you've got your round pin connector that goes on the back of the transmission, the two sensor things, don't know what they are, but yeah, they are just on one connector there. So I'm going to leave that connected. Just watching that footage as I was editing, it didn't really make much sense to me where that was actually coming from. So this is the transmission stuff. I've disconnected it, and what I was trying to say was it comes off all this loomage here, but specifically there's a line comes along the transmission tunnel. This one here, not that one, this one here goes up and it goes off to a massive black connector here, but the spur comes out of there and runs to that connector there, which connects onto the transmission stuff. Mine, I think, had an aftermarket CD multi-changer put in at some point, because I don't believe that that's the correct pin. I think this is probably the original one there, and I can't find that in the boot anymore. I don't know what they did with it. It sort of disappears off into the loom down here, and I don't know if then it does surface somewhere in the boot. I'm not bothered anyway. I don't want the CD multi-changer. The aftermarket one does surface in the boot, but I don't know what it's for, so that is redundant. Going back to transmission stuff, off the front of your selector there's a cable here that connects onto one of these white connectors, so all that is there. That might be useful for someone. I have just disconnected this largish white connector from one of the many white connectors down in the driver's side footwell. It's just that one there, and that is all the stuff for the center console, the two switch gears and the trip computer. So the red one obviously is the red one, the trip computer, and then either side you've got fog lights and interior lights, and you can't mix them up because they're a different size connector. So also it's cable tied to the support for the aircon unit, which obviously bolts in there. Down here seems to be where all that vacuum stuff comes from. Disappears off into the bulkhead. Not entirely sure where that goes. I might find out one day. But all of that is to do with the air conditioning. So I said originally this was some sort of vacuum balancer. It's not. It's actually the vacuum drawer for the... it'll be to make the flap up there open or close, because it's all vacuum operated. So that's all that. I'm just going to leave that all together down there. I'm going to come and tidy up later. Is there anything else I can sort of identify while I'm in here? There's a load of loomage down here. Don't know what they all do. Slightly worryingly, I found an earth somewhere that wasn't connected to anything. Yeah, there. Hopefully that's not important. I've had a good look. Whoops. I've had a good look for a wire that maybe could be connected to that, but I can't find anything. There's no single wires flapping about, so I'm just going to have to not worry about that. Oh, and while I'm in here, actually, someone might be able to answer a question. There's a earth point here as well, and connected to that was a sort of thick black, quite a chunky, proper engine style earth strap, and it was just flapping around unconnected in here. So I don't know if that's supposed to be connected to something. So if anyone knows where that is supposed to connect to, or if it isn't, or whatever, if you've got that flapping about down there, do let me know. That's all Windows stuff. That's your speed control. That's your cigarette lightery thing. That's not in use. Again, you see, there's just random connectors for things that, I don't know, maybe this car doesn't have. I guess maybe if you had a sunroof, you'd have extra wiring. Don't know. Moving over to the steering wheel area. These are for the cluster. So there's two big connectors go on the back of the instrument cluster. That's those. I'm just tucking those away there, out of the way for now. This one here on the left-hand side is for the switches on the left-hand side. Corresponds with a white plug. And this one dangling around here on the right-hand side is for the switches, not the switches, sorry, the mirrors on the right-hand side. And that purple thing, 3-pin connector, is for the instrument cluster dimmer. My dash is hidden under the engine at the moment, but there's the dimmer and there's the purple connector that does the dimming thing. So I know I keep saying it, but these videos are for my records. I just share them in case they're useful for the general Jaguar XJS public. I'm just documenting any disconnected connectors. I don't remember disconnecting this. This is a 2-pin. It's purple and black, I think. Can't really see. Let's just zoom in with the camera. Oh, purple and green, I think, and purple and black. And that's running up into the steering wheel. I've just cable tied this up so that it's not putting any stress on anything. I am glad. I did kind of think this was all a bit silly and overkill, taking out the air conditioning. Like I said, it was just curiosity really, and I like learning as I go. I now know roughly how to get one out, and I can also investigate it while it's out, and give it a good clean, which is always nice. But also this is foam, and I will be welding kind of here and there, quite close to that. So having that fully exposed, I can have a mate sat in here with a fire extinguisher and a little spray bottle with water, and we can just do fire watch. Whereas if that was in, I would have struggled to see down there, and the first thing that might have shown you that something was going wrong would be fine smoke coming out of there. So yeah, I can't remove that, by the way. It is glued on. I just found another connector that's not in use on my car as well. Just, this is for my own notes, to be honest, just so that I don't freak out and wonder what that's for later. So that's yellow and 2 whites, 2 purples and a black 6-pin connector. That can just be cable tied out the way. I have actually just disconnected as well the gearbox loom just to get that out of the way, and I've also off this, where's it gone? Off this big white connector, disconnected that. That is, as previously mentioned, the stuff that's cable tied to the support on the driver's side. Oh, I've also pulled the vent tubes out. I'll just give them a good clean, and also they were just getting in my way. Oh, they're wet actually. Let's just chuck them out of the car for now. Right, okay. I'm going to stop faffing about now. I can't really do anything else until we get me welding stuff. So that's it for this video. As I said, I will do another video on the actual unit itself. I'll have a bit of an explore in there, give it a clean up, and just look how, if I wanted to in the future, service the heat transferring radio, what the, the heat transferring radiator type thing. I am now getting closer and closer to welding the repair panels on these scuttles. I've already started making some preparations. My next video is actually a little bit of a random one. It's a road trip down to Burton-upon-Trent, where I remove rather messily this windscreen from a scrap XJS, along with some other bits. You'll see that in the next video. That's going to be used as a sacrificial shield to fill the window aperture while I do welding, because I didn't want to risk damaging that one. So that's been one of the things that's been delaying me. So now I've got that, and I've got all the repair panels, I've got my welding blankets. I've got no excuse not to get on with it, have I? So wish me luck, and hopefully there'll be an update video soon with those scuttle panels welded in.